For tonight's sailing story, I'm coming to you live from Longboat Key, Florida, aboard Salty Abandon. Tonight's guest is joining us all the way from New Zealand. He grew up in the world of elite sailing. His dad was a 3-time Olympic sailor, and by age 8, he was traveling the globe to regattas. He didn't just follow the legacy, though, he expanded it. Jon Bilger is an Olympian, 2-time America's Cup winner, and New Zealand national champion in multiple classes. Tonight, we're going to talk to him about a moment in the middle of the TransPac that tested everything Jon knew about sailing and survival. And how that experience eventually led him to create PredictWind, bringing professional grade weather forecasting to everyday sailors. But first, if you like these sailing stories, please smash that like button, subscribe, and share the video. I'm Captain Tinsley. This is the Salty Podcast, episode 79. And so please help me welcome Jon Bilger. Good evening, Jon.
Good evening. Thanks for having me on the show. Really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you very much. And I appreciate your patience with the time changes and everything, or the day changes. I've been on the move and it's a little tougher to keep on schedule. So thank you for being patient with me.
No problem at all. No problem.
So let's start at the beginning, where you were growing up around your dad. Tell me about that. At what point did you think, yeah, this is what I want to do? I mean, your dad's is pretty incredible.
Yeah. No, he was a sort of a real legend in the sailing scene here in New Zealand, and obviously representing New Zealand in 3 Olympics. So we used to travel around as a young kid, travel around Europe. He'd be sailing the Flying Dutchman, which is the Olympic class boat. And, I'd be always watching him get out in the water and, win all these championships. So it's kind of like kind of the best role model you can have in terms of, wanting to get sailing. I remember one day, one evening, we're at home and he was talking to his crew, Murray Ross at the time. And Murray said to him, when are you going to get Jon into sailing? I think I was like about, 10 years old. And he just flippantly made the joke that, he's a bit too young, and besides, he doesn't have any money, and so I said, I came into him the next day and I said, Dad, I've got 300 New Zealand dollars saved up in the bank. Can you build me a boat? And so he was quite taken back by that, and he sort of said, okay, well, that's pretty impressive. And so he actually went out and bought the plywood that week and started building me an Optimist. So that was kind of the start of my sailing journey.
Wow. Okay. So, I think what I read, it was when you started traveling with them when you were 8 to regattas.
Yeah, or even younger. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So we traveled around Europe a lot, and a lot of regattas over there that he did, and we're sort of all very basic in the camper van, my mother, myself, and him, and so it was really a shoestring budget campaign, not like we have these days. The Olympics, we have coaches and coach boats and staying in flash hotels. It was very, you do it all yourself. He had his crew was a sail maker, so they used to make their own sails and build their own, build the boats, maybe with the help of a boat builder, but they'd be certainly in there building the boats. So very much grassroots sailing, which is kind of a little bit lost these days. It's all very professional. In fact, back in those days, you weren't allowed to be a professional. You weren't allowed to get an income from it or have any money coming from it. So
what year are we talking about here? What year?
Oh, this is in the 70s, and so you did three Olympic campaigns in that period. So you had Montreal and Kiel and also in Russia. Well, the Russian one was actually boycotted because of the political situation.
Right.
But so 3 Olympic campaigns, and then after that he went on and did another 2 or 3 as a coach, not for myself but for the Flying Dutchman. So actually the 92 Olympic Games that I did, he was not coaching me, but he was coaching the Flying Dutchman class. So it's pretty special to go to Barcelona and be in the opening ceremony with your dad right beside you. So it's pretty cool. Yeah.
Wow. And there was no GPS back then.
Yeah. Well, I think that GPS had come in, and we did the TransPac. That was quite, as you mentioned, quite a memorable trip because we had GPS, but the rules of that race is quite traditional. You could have a GPS, but you also had to do the sextant navigation as well. as a backup and proves that you've done the calculations. And then, we never had anything like PredictWind, no weather routing software. We just had WeatherFax, so the WeatherFax, and, obviously the TransPac is all about, avoiding the high pressure system. The closer you go to it, the less distance, but more likely to get into less wind. So we I was very new to offshore sailing at that stage. I'd done the America's Cup as a navigator and had never done any offshore navigating. So that was quite the adventure to be navigator on board that boat.
What year did you do America's Cup?
That was 95, 95.
Okay. And then the TransPac was when?
Yeah, that was basically that same year or the year after, I think, yeah. So
okay.
So did it on the sleds, the 7-foot sled. We actually was myself, 2 other Kiwi guys from the Tag America's Cup campaign, and I think a whole campaign cost back then was for the America's Cup was like $10 or $12 million. It was very shoestring budget. But yeah, we basically we had this boat, and it was a Japanese owner and all Japanese crew, so we had all Japanese food. I think they stipulated we could have a European breakfast, but that never happened. So we had rice and seaweed for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Oh my gosh! Okay.
The big thing was we as you sort of get closer to Hawaii, we get more rain squalls coming through, and we I remember just had just finished my done my shift, and I was just tired, and it's about 2 o'clock in the morning, and I just hoist myself in the bunk, and I'm just getting off to sleep, and then we got a big rain squall hit us, and it pulled the whole chain plate out of the side of the boat, and so the mast was over the side of the boat, and it was chaos. It was it was carbon mast, and that was in a couple of pieces. And we're I think 1,000 miles out from Hawaii, and the guys I was with were very, very competent seamen, done Volvo ocean races before, and managed to get a jury rig together, and we obviously pretty much a downwind race, so we actually managed to be doing 10 knots, but it was
what was going through your mind?
Well, it was.
We got 1,000 miles to go. With
Well, I think it's more what was going through the owner's mind, because the owner was basically, we had an incident a few days before. One of the crew members cut himself on the cheek, and he impaled himself in a lifeline when he's holding on to the Jenica. And anyway, they're worried about him.
Tell me again what he did to his cheek.
Yeah, he cut himself. He was basically pulling in I think it was the Jenica at the time, and basically he managed to, somehow managed to cut himself on the lifeline. And hit the lifeline pretty hard, and the thing was flogging. So he had a cut, and he's worried about him getting infected. And then by the stage that we lost the rig, the owner was like, I'm out of here. I just want to get out of here. So we called up the race committee, and I was doing this because I was the navigator, and he wanted to get off the boat. So too far for a helicopter. He ordered this tug to come out and collect them off the boat along with a lot of the crew. But the tug can only do like 12 knots, and we're doing like 8 knots. So I think he only saved a day or two. But I was giving the owner's credit card over the SSB radio, which is quite amusing to everyone. But so I wasn't to say I have my best race that I've ever done, that's for sure, but it's certainly a very memorable experience. And I think when you do any sort of offshore event, just completing it, you're doing without getting rescued, and you're arriving in Hawaii and you get that amazing welcome, just kind of
how did you jury rig it?
Yeah, so basically the bottom section of the mast, we could actually sort of just basically tie that up with ropes, and then we had some of the sails. We sort of basically just make a small little sail plan, and because we're going downwind, it's a 70-foot boat. We could actually in 20 knots do about 8 knots, 6 to 8 knots of boat speed. So yeah, it was.
Is that how fast that's how fast you were going with?
Yeah. Because it's a very good racing boat. It's in the 70-foot sled, and then you got downwind 20 knots behind you. I think we're doing 6 to 8 knots. Not something I want to repeat.
No,
but it's made a good story. That's for sure. Yeah.
Well, and what place did you come in?
Oh well, the placing was gone because we obviously broke the mast. But just completing it on our own steam was
You're just trying to stay alive and get to the end.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
I did a little research on the TransPac. I wasn't familiar with it. I'm still not that familiar with it, but is the new record 5 days?
Yeah, exactly. It's incredible. I mean, these new boats, they're just so fast, and just so high performance. And because it's primarily a downwind race, it is a downwind race. It's amazing to get some incredible records for sure.
Yeah, there was one record that stood from 1979 to 1999, and it was like, I don't know, I can't remember, 7 or 8 days.
Yeah.
And then somebody more recently, I guess it was 1999, did it 5 days. I know that I've never made that sail, but I know Sailing with Phoenix made it in 21 days. So 5 days sounds incredible.
You're bearing along at a very fast speed. You'd be like in a tin can, everything rattling around. But yeah, I mean, 5 days. It's it's incredible. It's incredible to see what's possible now. With the ocean race, doing the Ocean Race Europe, which we're a sponsor for, and we're going to be sponsored for the Transatlantic next year, and the one that goes around the world. I mean, those boats for the foils, how fast they can go and sustain those long periods of time it's really exciting for the sport, to see where the technology is.
And I know that you're doing that now also. But I was going to ask you a question about so you did it in an injured boat. Is it 10 days?
Well, I think it took us 2 weeks because we obviously had broken our rig. So I think it was about 2 weeks by the time we completed the thing. So,
okay.
Yeah, but yeah, it's just good to get there. And just I tell you what, looking back, it really makes me appreciate of what we've developed with PredictWind, because back then we just had a weather fax. And if I had those tools back then, I'd be, it really makes you look good.
So when did you start thinking, I need to come up with something that is a little bit better for forecasting? How did that process happen?
Yeah, well, I ran the weather program for the Olympian America's Cup team for 10 years.
Right.
So we had, it was big budget weather program back in those days. I mean, now you're not allowed to have a weather program. It's all very much, you can't, the rules are very strict. But back then we had, we had a large team, so at least 10 people, sometimes up to 15 people. I did three America's Cup campaigns with Lingy. In fact, the last one we did was the Dita Gift Match, which is the crazy one with the catamaran versus the trimaran. And, we had the courses so large, I think a 20-mile course or something like that. We had, basically paragliders with engines going up the course, and we had weather boats out there that had satellite equipment to send all the data back, weather stations all around the coast and further afield. We had access to all this technology, and especially on the weather modeling side. And, sailors in our team would go around, do different regattas around the world, and they'd say, "Oh, can we get the weather model going for this regatta we got in Miami?" And you'd spin up the model for that, and they'd really appreciate it and get a lot of value out of it. And we thought, imagine if we could actually have this technology available for anyone, anyone in the world,
like me.
Exactly. And I naively thought at the time, accurate forecast, start up a company, how hard can that be? But it's obviously a lot harder than I thought. And you figure out, the user interface, make it, because a lot of people don't really understand the nuances of the accuracy of the forecast, or they look at the graphics, and is the graphics good, and is it easy to use? And So the ease of use is a big part of what we've improved a lot over the years. I think we've still got a long way to go, but I think we have taken things like what was weather routing tool, which is used by top offshore racing navigators, and made that accessible to any cruising sailor in the world. So it's like Google Maps. You just put your start and your destination. Once you got your boat's polar set up, it's very simple to use and gives you some incredible information. Like we even simulate the actual motion of your boat. So you put in the parameters of your boat, the length, the beam, the draft, the weight, and we can predict with some very good accuracy how your boat's going to roll, which is a big safety thing. The vertical acceleration, which is related always to seasickness. You can make I've proven in the Navy, you can make anyone seasick with vertical acceleration. And then slamming, which is obviously very dangerous. So those sort of things, because it's often the waves that will get you, not the wind.
Right.
And if you can predict that, not just it's going to be 2 meter swells, but there might be 2 meter swells from the primary direction, but you might have secondary and tertiary swells that are really confused, and you can see how that's going to affect your boat. And that okay, it's going to be really unsafe for the next 24 hours. So you need to take that precaution on your boat, reef early, and just make sure that you're really clipped on when you're on deck. So those sort of things are really exciting for me because, I've got a lot of friends in the industry and they go and use the product, and, you get some great feedback. So that's really awesome to see those tools being used by making it user-friendly.
Yeah. So I learned the term polars when I was interviewing Karen from your company. I didn't know what that was. And then one of the people that were watching, I have an island packet, he said he has all the island packet polars. And I was like, oh, and Karen said just to send it to her. I don't know if we ever did that part, but that's how it knows your boat on how it's going to react and like when you should reef and all this crazy stuff that I could definitely see why.
So the polars is just really the performance curve of your boat. So for any wind speed or and for every wind angle, whether upwind or downwind or reaching, it'll tell you. It describes the performance. What boat speed are you going to be doing? And we've taken it a step further. We have this device called the Data Hub. It's a bit of electronics you can install in your boat. It's got an NMEA 2000 feed. So you just connect it up to your instrumentation system, and it gets all the data from your instruments and automatically averages it and sends it back up to our server. And so one of the features, this does a lot of different things, but one of the features it does is what we call AI polars. So it learns not only just for your wind speed and the wind angle that you're sailing at, what your performance is, but also we put in the wave forecast in there because a boat will perform totally different in flat water versus a swell. When you're punching into a 3 meter swell, you're going to go a lot slower than you are with a flat water. So it'll learn how you're sailing the boat, not only your boat, but how you sail the boat generally. And so your performance curve of your boat is really accurately matched how you sail it. So that when we do a weather routing, we can actually know where your boat's going to be given the forecast. Because if you can have an accurate forecast, but if you don't have an accurate polar of how you sail a boat, then you won't know where you're going to be in 2, 3, 4 days' time.
So it helps. It's reading how I handle the boat as well. It's reading
how you handle a boat, how you sail a boat, and then ultimately what boat speed you'll do. Say, in for example, 20 knots with a 3 meter swell, and downwind sailing. What performance you're going to get out of the boat. So it's not a theoretical thing. It's an actual reality of how you will sail a boat. And so that means that when you actually run a weather routing, we can get some very accurate data of where you're going to be. And people are arriving doing sort of 10-day passages, and they're arriving within an hour of our predictions. So that's how good it can be. Yeah.
Well, I need to learn how to use it better, but I have used it on this trip, and I don't know if you're familiar with the Gulf of Mexico.
Sure.
in the Big Bend. It's very unpredictable. Well, to me, it is. I always seem to get caught out there.
Yeah,
But
I mean, the thing is with PredictWind, I think that's what we've worked really hard on is, and this is the basis of it. It's not just a user-friendly, good-looking program. It's basically that we have the best possible data that you can get access to. So we've got a slew of 8 models. 3 of them are our own models. One of them is a European model, which is sort of the benchmark of accuracy from.
And why is that? Why is the European model always? I think that's with hurricanes too. Isn't the European model always?
Yeah. They've put a lot of I guess research and time into it. And I guess at the moment, well, they have in the last 10 years been sort of winning that race. I mean, it is not just one country's model, but it's a collection of the whole European Union. And that, to give you an example of how much resource they put into it, they model their thing at 9-kilometer resolution around the world, which means basically the whole world is like 9-kilometer Lego blocks in terms of mathematical equations. Whereas, the ECMWF one is like 25-kilometer resolution. So they really put a lot of money into it, a lot of resource into it. We use that. We got the UK Met Office one. We've got the German ICON model. And so we have all these models, and then also the 2 new ones we've added recently is our own AI weather model, and also the AI weather model from ECMWF. So it's a kind of a complete revolution in terms of predicting weather. In the past, weather models have used physical equations. They have these what they call Navier-Stokes mathematical equations. You divide the whole world into these cubes, and then you say, well, based on these mathematical equations, this is what's going to be the wind speed, for the next day, for the next hour, and temperature and pressure and so on. And they've been built up over 30 years, and they've done an incredible job. They've just they've improved immensely over the last 30 years. But the AI is a completely different approach. It doesn't use any physical mathematical equations at all. It just purely looks at the observational files that we feed into the model, and
which is from where?
So basically how the observations work is you have the World Meteorological Organization gets data from satellites all around the world from different countries. They have to submit their data, aircraft data, land-based station, all that data puts into this WMO, and then from that it's quite a science in itself to create what they call the observational file. And that's a large file, which is sort of the Earth's atmosphere. It's like a photographic snapshot in time of what the Earth's atmosphere is right now. And so the AI models grab that observational file, and they look at each updates every 6 hours. They look at the patterns, and they just do pattern matching. So it's just pattern matching. So well, this given situation in the past over the last 5 years, this is what's normally likely going to happen. So it's a completely different approach. And to be honest with you, talking with the meteorologists I work with America's Cup, they said, no doubt this is going to be any better than the other approach, but it actually has proven to be actually producing more accurate forecasts than the traditional physical models.
So when you were thinking of this, AI probably wasn't around yet, right?
No. This is AI models. We just add these in the last few weeks. So this model, PDAI, is a new one, and the ECMWF AIFS model has just literally been added to PredictWind in the last month. Yeah.
So what it's, I mean, that's kind of to think that you could do that. Like, I'm going to do this. That's amazing. And you did it. And I know you have an engineering degree. What made you think that, and did you get help? Did you ask people to help you design it? How did that go about?
Yeah. So just to be clear, I can't take credit for that. I've just got a very clever software development team, and we have one.
Well, you're like Steve Jobs. He's like, this is what I want. Do it, right? You said, make it happen.
Yeah. Well, it's easy to say, this is what I want, but it's actually harder to actually do it. So the actual doing is done by we got some very clever software engineers.
Well, that's the way Steve Jobs was. I think he had his guys and he made them stay there all night until they did it or something.
Yeah. I don't make them stay all night, but yeah, they work very hard. They're very self-motivated, and so we have this our AI expert. He's been working on this for the last almost year.
Yeah.
And we've invested a lot into it because to train these models, it takes a lot of computing power. So it's been a very expensive process. But yeah, it's been amazing. And this model is it's actually a combination of a few models. So it's using the ECNWF AI model. It's using the ECNWF classical model, using the Fengwei Chinese one, and the Google Craftcast model. So it's using the best of all of them to train it.
Have you seen since AI got involved, do you think that it has made it more accurate?
Yeah. Well, that's what the results are showing. So when you compare the AI forecast versus the initial conditions, or we call the observational files, it's showing better results for rain, better results for wind speed and direction. And we've only just released it, so obviously we're going to learn more. There are some shortcomings with it because it's only at 25 kilometer resolution, because that's the resolution of the observations files. It doesn't do as good a job with geographic effects, like around wind around headlands or
I noticed that,
sea breezes.
But that the wind's going to be less because it's being blocked by the land, but it's not going to show up.
Yeah. So if you got a model, even the GFS model, which is say 25 kilometer resolution, is not going to have those effects, as well as say a high resolution model. We have like the PWG, which is our PredictWind model, at 1 kilometer resolution, because it does have all those sea breeze effects in there. But it's still doing an amazing job for short to medium term synoptic winds. And we're very very optimistic of the future of it. And it's only going to get better as we get more data, and also these observational files are going to get higher resolution in time. So it's exciting. It's a really exciting time to be in, because basically this technology wasn't available as of a few months ago, and now you have this. When you got PredictWind, you're looking at these 8 models, and you can see them all tracking, doing the same thing. You can go, well, pretty confident we've got the right forecast here.
And you've got about 1 million users now?
Yeah. So 1 million users. I mean, unfortunately, a lot of them on the free version. So that's
okay.
Be good if they were paid. But no, it's really exciting to be. You've been going now for 15 years, and it's good things take time, great things take longer, and we started off. We did this journey. Not probably the right way to do it. You get basically funding, and venture capital, and get a massive team. We started off just organically, one developer, one marketing person, and my wife and myself, and we've just grown organically. But we've been very fortunate, very blessed to be growing very rapidly. We've averaged 30% growth every year, and now we have a team of there's about 40 people contributing to PredictWind within our team. So we have.
Did you have any idea it was going to grow like this?
Oh no, we had no idea. We're just naive. We thought we were going to make this app, and we just basically develop it over a few years, and then it'll just run by itself. But it's a technology game, so you got to be on top of the technology, and if you're not developing, you're going backwards. So we've had a massive probably push in our company and ethos of research and development, and that's we enjoy doing what we're doing. We really love coming up with new features, new ideas, and pushing the envelope. So that's
like what I was going to ask you that. What kind of features are you thinking that you've imagined them, but you haven't figured it out yet?
I mean, there's a lot of things that we're very proud of. I mentioned the weather routing. One of the things that we do is not even weather related, is AIS. So you'd be familiar with AIS. Obviously, there's a VHF system to transmit your position, and all commercial vessels have to have an AIS system that's mandatory. So if you have an AIS system on your boat, you'll be able to see any commercial vessel within roughly 20 miles of your boat, which is great. So you can see there's a container ship coming directly at you. you better make sure you're out of the way of it. But the problem is, if say you're doing 8 knots or so, and a container ship's coming directly at you, you've got about 8 minutes before you're in trouble. Was we have this thing called over the horizon AIS. So the AIS signal, not only when it goes directly up, it can go up to the satellite, and we get access to all that data. And so we have all the AIS targets in the world. And so we have a product called over the horizon AIS. So with the data hub, you can have that data automatically downloading and displaying on your chart plotter, so you can see all the vessels within the 300 nautical mile
How
radius.
much does this thing cost that you're describing?
So the data hub's only $300 US, so it's pretty, fairly cheap device.
And you're going like this, so it's small. Is it?
Yeah, it's small. It's the size, It's
okay. Wow.
Yeah, and so
$300, huh?
Yeah, and then you plug that in. You got as long as you obviously need an internet connection, but with Starlink these days, that's very very achievable. And then you've got basically when you're doing your shift at night, you actually should know, we will know how many vessels are going to be on your path.
So this is like even better than radar.
Yeah. Oh, way better. Yeah,
because it goes further.
It goes 300 nautical miles. So yeah, I mean, we could have done the whole the whole globe, but we need to know 300 nautical miles.
No reason for that. Yeah.
So it really means when you're doing your watch, you can there's a few container ships I need to keep an eye out for, but there's no surprises. So that's a really
set the alarm and you can take the set the alarm and take a nap.
So one thing we realized as a company is we're really into safety. Obviously weather's a big thing for safety, and AIS is a big thing for safety. One of the products we're developing at the moment, which we are very excited about, is a man overboard feature. So we've just had feedback from customers who have been very, that's kind of the worst nightmare, right? When a crew member falls overboard and no one knows, and then, oh my goodness, we've lost the crew member. So, and everyone has a watch on board, whether it be an Apple Watch or be an Android watch or Garmin watch. And this watch can have an app on it which pings the data hub, every few seconds. But if the watch is disconnected, i.e. you've fallen overboard, then it automatically sends a man overboard waypoint to your chart plotter, so that you'll get and that obviously sets off an alarm. So the idea there is that you won't, if there's someone does by chance fall overboard, you get alerted immediately, and there's a waypoint on the chart plotter, and so you can go back and pick them up. So that's another sort of safety feature we're developing at the moment, which is very exciting. We sort of fairly recently launched an anchor app, which we're very very proud of, and that basically uses the data hub again. And then when you're anchoring, it'll give you an alert, not only just because the data hub knows the wind speed and direction, it'll give you if the wind speed increases a lot, if the direction changes, say 180 degrees. So it really gives you, even on the depth, if your depth changes too much, it'll give you an alert. So it'll give you an alert on the boat, but also give you an alert if you're on shore. So you can be sitting and, maybe getting some groceries, and you just, oh my goodness,
you're dragging anchor.
Well, maybe the boat hasn't dragged anchor, but the wind direction has changed 180 degrees. I better get back to the boat before I do drag anchor. So those sort of safety things I think are really exciting for our product range.
Those things are still in development?
Yeah, so the Anchor app is actually available now. So that's you can download that app right now. The man overboard feature is something that's coming early next year, and so there's always the other thing that we're working on is we've probably been the biggest provider of GPS tracking in the world. Because the data hub, that's one of its primary functions, is to actually send a position through those servers to show friends and family where you are. Because that's a really huge safety thing is, you can be going along and then friends and family can see the boat stopped or it's turned around. And, we've had calls from customers, what's happened, because they can't get hold of what's happened there, and they go, just leave me alone. We're just going to do some fishing here. but it's a really good thing to see the boat is still on track. And you can see we've got the weather forecast overlaid on top, so you can see what weather conditions are in. And then the boat can also do some blogs on the way, put photos on there and upload that. So yeah, it's that's a big part of what we do. We're just upgrading the interface at the moment in the next few weeks to really. It's got some really, really cool features in it.
So who's the idea person? Is that you?
Well, obviously,
Steve Jobs, kind of like.
No, I'd like to say again, it's the team. I mean, in the early days of the company, it was purely me, because there weren't many people in the company. But now we have, we got about 13 people in our support team. They're all very accomplished sailors. I think we've got 4 people who've done Volvo
isn't that races. A requirement? Isn't that a requirement?
Yeah, pretty much is. You got to be a sailor.
Karen told me.
Yeah, you got to be a sailor, and so they're all really they've been out there on the water. They know what it's like, and they obviously we really pride ourselves on good support. So if you have problems getting the software up and running, we have some great help articles. We actually have AI help assistant, but more importantly, you can actually get hold of a human, and we will help you, get up and running and get going. And in the interaction with the customer, there's always feedback, like, well, found this good. What about this? And so we really do we have a meeting every week, around at my house actually, and we basically talk about customer feedback for most of the meeting.
Wow.
What is going to be the next big thing? How can we improve this? And we just always thinking about that. How do we improve this? How can we make this better? And because a lot of our friends are doing it, it's kind of a real passion rather than a job, So that's where the ideas come. It comes from the sort of collective pool of knowledge of our support team, talking to the customers, and then obviously we can't do everything, but we try and do probably more as much as we possibly can.
That's amazing. You just don't hear that from companies anymore. That's amazing.
Yeah, we see this as a real passion, So it's and I think it just shines through in a product line that we have accomplished a lot of different things, and that's because of the team, not because of me.
So let me see. I have some other questions here. Oh, you moved from sailor to navigator to weather team manager for America's Cup. Is that right?
Sure.
So how did that transition happen? So you were when you were a weather team manager, I guess you were off the boat. You were more behind.
Yes. Yeah. So when I had the job, my first job, America's Cup job, I was a navigator on Chris Dixon's takeaway boat, and then I learned a lot through that. The next job I had was to run the weather program for the Swiss America's Cup team. So that wasn't an on the boat role. That was off the boat, and that was kind of the proving ground, the kind of the background for PredictWind. So I didn't know it at the time, but that was where I learned. I learned because we had a few meteorologists in the team, and I was not a meteorologist. I was just I had a mechanical engineering degree. I'd done sailing to a high level, and I thought, wow, I need to find some really good people to make me look good. so I found these meteorologists, and this Jack Catsby was a head meteorologist. He was head of the modelling division and CSRO, which is a government organisation in Australia, and he'd run that for 20 odd years. So he was an extremely talented meteorologist and extremely talented in running the modelling division. And so, I could talk to him. I found out how reliant he was on these high resolution models for creating a good forecast. And we would have, 20 forecasts, and we look at them all. And that was the whole idea of PredictWind. If we can just get a great accurate forecast to our customers, and get access to these models, you're 90% of the way there to making good decisions.
That had to be pretty stressful, being in charge of the weather team for a whole group of people on a boat.
It could be stressful because, before the start of the race, these races were, 3 nautical miles, a lot of them, they're 25 minutes long. And they would say to you, basically, all right, is the left side favoured, the right side favoured? by how much, big or small, and what's your confidence level. And they, because you can only see
like a
about
scale
a
of
mile.
1 to 10.
Yeah. Or just no medium, low, high, and if you, basically you can only see like a mile and a half, even with a man up the rig, and so they really rely heavily on which side of the course to go to. And obviously you get it right, you're a hero. If you get it wrong, you're zero. So fortunately we got it more than wrong. So
That's bold.
That's
It would
really
be
especially,
it would be bold for me to, okay, your safety's in my hands. That's pretty bold.
Yeah. So that was very stressful, but it was very rewarding, and we really, I think, pushed the envelope of all the technology we had access to, and that was just the genesis of PredictWind.
Okay.
Just trying to make that technology available for everyone, and obviously we've developed a whole lot of tools along the way in the last 15 years. So yeah, but I think that sort of America's Cup ethos of always pushing the limits has been something that's very much been the culture of PredictWind.
So, I've talked to 2 people, one who won the Golden Globe race and one that's participating next year. Now, what do you think about those races?
So yeah,
the total retro race. Yeah.
You have no weather technology.
Right.
It's just yeah. So I think obviously it's a great challenge, right? You're going back to basics, and you're just really seamanship. But what I would say is the best form of seamanship is not getting caught out in bad weather. And I'd say for the first 5 days of your passage, there should be no excuse for getting caught out in bad weather with the technology we have. I mean, obviously there's exceptions, there's rules, and we're not, going to be good at always getting thunderstorms. That sort of, you can have the chance of thunderstorms, but actually knowing whether you're going to be in one or not is very hard. But generally, the first 5 days of your passage should be trouble-free. If you're looking at all our models and looking at our extreme weather alerts that we automatically put onto the weather routing. So, yeah, I think it's a little bit, well, certainly for the average sailor, use the technology, it's come a long way in the last 30 years. And kind of, as I said, best form of seamanship is not to get stuck out in bad weather. It's bad for your equipment, it's dangerous, and even when you're out there, say after 5 days, when you maybe don't have a chance to avoid the bad weather, at least you know it's coming, so you can prepare for it. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of those races. I think it's, in this day and age, I think we should be using the technology. I mean, maybe having it some sort of limitation to one source, so no one has an advantage. But to kind of, I mean, you're looking at the Vendée Globe and the ocean race, they have access to everything, and we're a sponsor for those.
I think they're allowed to call a ship and ask them. I think they're allowed to use the radio to ask for weather. I think.
Right. So you have to be lucky to make sure you're next to a ship that you
can. Yeah. I don't know.
Maybe they got PredictWind, so they can really tell you what's going on.
Yeah, exactly. But I can't imagine being in the Southern Ocean. Well, it's not a place I would want to go anyway. But just with no forecasting, that just seems very frightening.
Yes, and I agree. I agree with you. I think it's it's a little bit foolhardy because I mean, it's all very well and good if no one lose a boat, but if you lose a boat or crew member or whatever because of bad weather you didn't know about, well, this whole Corinthian going back in time thing no longer becomes a good idea.
I see your point. Yeah. And the Golden Globe is solo.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's really pushing the limits of a person. Any behind the scenes story from the America's Cup you're allowed to tell?
Yeah, lots of stories. I mean, I think like going back to the making the call. I think one of the races we had in the America's Cup, we're very famous for this in terms of, was a weather call that we made that the opposition didn't make. Our weather model showed there was going to be a split in the breeze, more left on one side, on the left-hand side, more right on the other, and we could tell there was a possibility, but like with all the weather models, it's all about where the placement of the model is it in exactly the right position. So the models give you the hint of what's going to happen, but they, until you actually see it in the observations, it's not something you can make a call. And anyway, we made this. We had you try and get as many weather boats out there as you possibly can, and we had the option to buy this really old weather boat. We call it the Black Duck. And we had this young French guy on it, and he was way above the course, and he got this this wind reading that showed the shift, and if we hadn't had that, we wouldn't have been able to make that call. And we it was high pressure call. We made it because we had it in the model, and we had the weather boat out there, and we got famous for it. But yeah, that's, I guess, one of the success stories we had. But it's because we had this really old weather boat we managed to get our hands on, along with all the new ones. But yeah, it was a great time to get there. Really, really exciting to get that call right.
So you've described PredictWind as the lighthouse keeper of the world. Is that right?
Yeah, well, I think it's one thing we talk about internally within our company, because we are 24-hour a day, 7-day-a-week operation, and so we're providing these forecasts, which really are really important for people going offshore. And quite often most of our customers now are cruising sailors, taking the whole families offshore, and that you're taking a family offshore, you want to make sure that you're safe, and our website's got to work 24/7, and so in that way we are like a lighthouse. You don't want a lighthouse to break down. You want it to be working the whole time, and it's a big safety feature. So I think that's an analogy we use, certainly within the support team, that the importance of what we do, and just the safety aspect of PredictWind, and that's why we think a lot of weather companies just have a few models. We use 8, and we believe our models are by far the best available around the world. And it's why it's not good just to rely on one model, but you've got to have 8 so you can see, because every model has its day, and with that information you're unlikely to get caught out in a bad situation.
Okay. Now, was there any pushback or any discussion or about when you wanted to go and give it to the public like this?
So I had to get a license from CSIRO, which is a government organisation. And initially I was going to set the company up. I was going to be a 50-50 partnership with Jack Catsby, who was from the CSIRO, but because he was an employee of the government, the government regulations said that he can't actually start a private company. So he graciously bowed out of that thing, and he's still not a shareholder within PredictWind. And although he's done all his work for free, so so I'd say pushback, I'd say from them allowing us that technology, no, but it was certainly a big, huge challenge, and I think the biggest thing was, probably, look back when we started the company, we reached the company in 2007. We didn't go online until 2010, so that's 3 years to get our website up and running, getting the model working all around the world. In fact, I look back when I first bought the computers. We bought, I think, $120,000 worth of Dell servers and put them in a server place in the US, and I think I sold them 4 years later for $10,000.
Wow!
And then we moved to Amazon, which is it was early days for Amazon, and it was the best move we ever made, because you don't have to worry about servers breaking, and we have access to all this technology.
But there was a problem. Was it last week?
Yeah, that was so stressful for us. We got off very lightly. Fortunately, our website worked the whole time. We had some outage with our weather routing service for a few hours, but the actual website itself stayed up. So we were very fortunate with, I think
there was problems with AIS for a day, wasn't there? Just with AIS in general.
Yeah. There's a few problems here and there, but yeah,
I noticed some irregular behavior when I was using it. It wasn't there was some things that just didn't look right, and I was like, "Oh, my AI, maybe it's broken. Maybe I need a new antenna." But then it started working again.
No, it was very stressful. I mean, there's another name for Amazon Web Services because it's AWS. Yes. The other name is what we call it all websites. It does all websites in the world. So if that goes down, pretty much half the world goes down. So it's a scary thing, but fortunately they got it sorted out. And
how long have you been? How long have you had it with them, the servers?
Oh, we've been with Amazon for at least, I'd say, at least 10 years. Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe.
And that was 12. The only time that there was an issue with the.
They had had one other issue in 2017, which is quite a big outage.
A long time ago. Yeah.
Yeah, long time ago. So no, they've been a very good partner. We can't sing their praises high enough. They've done a great job for us and given us access to a whole lot of database technology and cloud front and all sorts of things that, as a small company, we wouldn't be able to provide, able to, do ourselves. So it's been a great choice for us,
I just want to say hey to Fresh to Salty that she just said good evening. So we got some live people here. So that is fascinating. So was there any pushback from the professional sailing world about you going?
No, I don't think any pushback at all. I think the big thing is like we found in the America's Cup, it just takes time. So like we even within the America's Cup team, we found when we first started the program, everyone in the team's a weather expert. I mean, from the designers to the boat builders, everyone's like looking at the weather map and going, "Oh, I know what's going to happen today." And and
when you say they're everybody's a weather expert, you're kind of saying that tongue in cheek.
Yes.
Okay.
So they're basically, even if they're not a weather expert, they think they're a weather expert, and they'll tell you what the forecast is, even if they don't have no clue. And they're basically, the sailors there have been sailing in New Zealand for all their life, and they know how to read the local signs, and Russell Coots, Murray Jones, they're very good sailors. But in the end, after using the model for 6 months, they would trust the model more than their own interpretation. And that for me was like a big thing for thinking, wow, this has really got a lot of value. Especially then when the boats back then, you could only sail them at above 7 knots and less than 19. So it would take you like a couple of hours to get the boat, in the water and out to the race course for 2.5 hours and 2.5 hours back. So if you went out there and it was less than 7 knots and more than 19 knots, there's 5 hours of wasted time where they're looking at you going, what happened here? I think it's just gaining people's trust, because weather's weather, right? It's impossible to get it right all the time.
Yeah.
But if you have it, if it becomes something that you trust is very reliable, then you've really got people's trust. And we're very proud of the fact we've got a lot of customers out there who are not just customers; they're really big fans of PredictWind, and they really promote the service for us. And that's made the company great because we don't have a huge marketing budget, but these customers are out there doing the selling for us.
Yeah, and you're sponsoring a lot of races, aren't you?
Yeah, we're sponsoring some for sure. We sponsor some of the cruising rallies. We like to give back to the community and help out, and we obviously do what we can to get the name out there. But I think our biggest marketing thing is our customers, because they use the product, they get a lot of confidence with it, and then they tell other customers.
Well, what Karen, I'm sorry, I'm not pronouncing that right. I want to say Karen. Karen. I gave her the link to my InReach Explorer, and she made that trackable on PredictWind for me.
Yes, we support pretty much all the hardware devices. You got a data hub, which is our device, or Garmin InReach, or Bivistick, or Zoleo, or there's Iridium Go, or Garmin Iridium Go Exec. We basically we can use tracking with anything.
That's amazing. So you can you can get the little $300 thing, or you can use any of those other devices and send the link to PredictWind, And like I was telling you offline, where I first saw that was with Sailing with Phoenix. He gave people that link, and you could see him sailing within the the waves and
Yeah.
the whole interface. And I was like, wow. And I'm on the Gulf Coast, so I'm not familiar with the Pacific. And he was talking about the trades. He sails south and go as far as, and then when the trades start going towards Hawaii, that's when he hang a right turn. And you could actually see him doing that from within your interface.
Totally. Yeah, and we've got basically now the new tracking we're going to supply is you can at the moment you can just see real time right now, but we're going to record all the weather. We've done this for the ocean race. We record the weather from, the whole year, and you can go back in time. So you can go back with a time slider and see the boat sailing through the weather from the beginning of your trip up till now. And then we're also going to do a weather routing from that position forward until the end of your trip, and you can see what the boat will experience for the rest of the trip.
And how do you account for those pop-up storms that just, like I have Weather XM on my chart plotter, and you can see them forming on the chart. It'll turn green, and then it'll get yellow, and then orange. I mean, can you account for that? I'm probably asking stuff impossible.
Yeah, they are. They're very hard to predict, that sort of thing. I mean, and especially getting the location of them exactly right is almost impossible. But we have a few things in PredictWind which will help you sort of prepare for that sort of thing. One is the CAPE, which is CAPE stands for Convective Available Potential Energy, and if you see a spike in that within our data, that'll gives you the possibility of that sort of thing happening. In fact, we'll actually automatically give you an alert within the weather routing or on the tables. That
I need to learn. You have some videos on the site to learn that?
Oh, totally. Yeah, we can.
Okay, and tell me what it's called. Can you tell me what it's called again?
CAPE. Yeah, CAPE.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The other thing too is we're the only ones in the world that basically convert GMDSS forecasts. GMDSS is a global system called Global Marine Distress System, and that is they have weather forecasts for the whole world from meteorologists. And it's a text-based forecast, which is quite hard to interpret. But we grab that text and using AI, we convert it to a graphical element on the chart. So that's like meteorologists around the world telling you of thunderstorm areas, about storms popping up, and they're basically safety warnings. And we put that as a graphical element on all our maps. So that's I think that's a really critical thing to look at.
Fresh to Salty is asking, can you work on importing of routes between Ray Marine and Lighthouse? And then she said, in navionics, it's not intuitive. So are you saying that which thing is not intuitive? That's what I'm asking.
Yeah, we're a little bit limited with Ray Marine in terms of what we can do. Obviously we don't control their software, so and with the navionics thing as well, we are actually in contact with Garmin about doing that better, and we hope to have a better system with them. I watch out for some improvements there. But we are limited.
Would that be like it would be on the chart plotter? Is that what you're saying? It would be
So the export there is you get a weather route, and then at the moment you can export that weather route as a GPX format, which is a standardized format to import into your navionics or to your Ray Marine chart plotter. So we've got to work in with their limitations, what they do to basically make that a better process.
So that's another thing you're working on?
Yeah. Well, as I said, with Garmin, we're in contact with them directly, with their management, to actually do a better job there. With Ray Marine, I don't think we have any
I'm not a Ray Marine fan, but I'm a Garmin gal. But so how many projects are you working on?
Lots. Well,
Oh, she says Orca can do it. I don't know what Orca is, but
yeah, familiar with Orca. Yeah. Okay, we'll have a look into that. See if we can improve that for sure.
Okay. See there, Fresh to Salty You're talking to the director here, and he's going to take it to the team. But so, would you say you have hundreds of ideas that you're working on, or?
Oh yeah, we got a project development list of thousands of features. I mean, it's not just big features. There's lots of little improvements. So this one's a classic example. So we're always looking to improve things, and there's a list of 1,000 things, or more than 1,000 things that we can do to improve the software. It's just about prioritizing that, because obviously we don't have unlimited developers, but yeah, we've grown the team, as I said, from one developer up to about 13 now. So that's really, we're getting through a whole lot more work than we did 5 years ago. That's for sure.
Okay, so Fresh to Salty says, I would love to be a part of the product development.
Well, you are. I mean, already given me feedback already. So I think that we are listening to our customers, and always looking to improve it. So just be patient though. Things take time. So it's not like click your fingers and it'll be done tomorrow. But yeah.
So you've got, I think, 2 daughters?
Yes.
Are they involved in any of this?
Yeah, my older daughter, she spent a year just out of school. She did 1 year working at PredictWind, and she headed up the logistics for a satellite product that we sold. And she did, it was really good. It was the making of her. She didn't report to me. She had to report to Karen, as you met.
Okay.
And so it was great. And so she learned a lot and really grew a lot in that year. And they're both doing Olympic campaigns, so sort of following in myself's footsteps and my father's footsteps.
Wow.
So
your dad's still around? He's still
Yeah. He lives just down the road from me. I mean, he's 88 now, so getting on a bit, but he's still in good health.
And you said he's got the PredictWind hat on there.
Yeah. Big promoter of PredictWind, huge promoter. So it's a great photo of him, actually. Yeah.
I mean, was he thinking, wow, I wish I had that when I was...
Oh, totally. Yeah. Well, actually, that's one of the stories of PredictWind, is because, when we won the America's Cup, my dad was doing a regatta, a masters regatta, in a small town down south, and he had to choose. He's saying the lazy had to choose between the big rig and the radial rig, and so we spun up our weather model for the regatta, and all of the Met Service forecast and National Weather Centre said, you should go for the smaller rig. Anyway, he used our forecast, chose the right rig, and he won the regatta. So that, it was a great story. It kept me happy. And
you're very proud. So is this you?
Yeah, I wouldn't believe it, but it is me. Just a few years ago.
What a face. What a precious face. So how old were you here?
I'd say in my 20s, I'd say. Yeah.
So you were you were well on your way into sailing.
Yeah, no grey hair there. So it was supposed to be before I started PredictWind. A few more grey hairs here. So actually, that was the beginning of PredictWind. Yeah.
That was around 2010.
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah.
Is this a picture with a team or something? I tried to find a picture of you with the team. What did you do? Scrub the internet of all your pictures?
I can't be that famous, though. It's just the ones that we took for ourselves.
This is not. Then this is I think this is 2025 or some recent picture of the TransPac.
Oh wow! Okay, yeah, awesome. Yeah.
So you were on a boat that looked something like this, right? I mean, it's kind of
it's a 70-foot sled. So yeah.
Okay, sleds. That's okay. Mm-hmm. And this is you racing a dinghy.
Yeah, that was with my daughter, I think. We raced the Weta Trimaran. I think she's on there somewhere. Oh no, that was the World Masters Regatta. So it was.
So you raced everything.
Yeah, done a few things. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And here's somebody using actually.
That's using PredictWind, on the iPad. Yeah. And
I think that's all the pictures, but and you're doing the foiling also.
Yeah. So I've done. My daughter's into foiling. Older one's doing kite foiling, so it's Olympic sport. And the other one's doing wind foiling, which is a windsurf with a foil. So I've done that as well. I've done the kite foiling. I've done the wind foiling. my latest thing is winging. So it's
What is that?
just a surfboard with a foil, and you hold on to the inflatable wing. So in the early days, I did manage to beat my Lucy in the kite falling, and then it's a bit of a joke. Then I moved on to the wind falling and beat my younger daughter. But both of them are way better than me. In fact, my younger daughter, Stella, she just won the under 23 World Championships in the wind falling. So that's an amazing achievement.
It must be tough to be part of your family. You've got to go out and win a lot of championships and Olympics and invent things, and they're quite accomplished.
Well, yeah, we're just very fortunate. But that's
been very fortunate. You've worked very hard.
Yeah. Growing up, the doors our family joke is, they said to them, look, you can do any sport you want. You can do sailing or sailing. And I said to them, well, because they weren't that keen in the first few years, and I said, well, you can give up once you've mastered it, when you can actually get around the race course and sail properly. But you can't give up until you can do it, because learning's tough and it's a hard sport. So anyway, I think they really obviously love it now. They do it of their own volition, and so that's just
What about your wife? Is she
she's into it as well. She does the winging, so she's did kite surfing, got proficient on that.
Yeah.
Not falling, but twin tipping, and now she's winging, and not as quite as competitive as I am, but definitely loves the social side and really into it. So,
Do you guys cruise?
We had a cruising boat for 7 years. It's a 31-foot Farrier trimaran. It's quite a famous New Zealand design. It sort of folds up, goes onto a trailer. We jokingly called it the luxury family cruising boat, but it was a all carbon fiber, very light thing. And then when we go, we put all the cruising gear on it for 2 weeks of the year and go cruising around the Hauraki Gulf here. And so we had some great times as a family. Great times and some tough times too, because it was such a small boat. It was like camping on the water. But we learned a lot, and it was fantastic. So I've experienced.
Any aspirations to go around the world or anything?
I think it's at some stage, but I think at this stage, we're pretty busy with the business, and
that'd be kind of stressful.
So I think can't do too many things at once, but we really enjoy the foiling as a family. We go to the Cook Islands, Arataki every year for 2 or 3 weeks, and we also really enjoy doing the local competitions here, and so it's we've been on friends cruising boats in the Pacific, so we're very fortunate to be able to do that.
Let's one more question, and then this will be the last question. I have more, but we've been on there an hour. Best piece of advice that you'd give to someone nervous about offshore weather? Offshore sailing.
I mean, obviously I'm completely biased here because I'm, in the company, but I do really think that you make a massive head start by, getting PredictWind. But the biggest thing, the frustration we have with a lot of our customers is they get the product a few days before they're about to depart. And then they're trying to learn it as they go. And that's really stressful because, when you get a boat, it's like running a small city, right? You're generating your own water, your own power, you're doing the safety. There's just a huge amount of things. There's a list a mile long. So, weather often gets pushed to the bottom of the pile. So my advice to people is to try and, learn the weather, the PredictWind tool early if you can. Try and get at least 3 months before, even if you're just looking at the forecast, running a weather route, just getting familiar with the tools. And, you can go online and look at our help, and you can go and ask questions to our team. But if you just become familiar with that and really know how to use it, I mean, it really will help you getting out there. I'd say 50% of our customers have seen the thing on YouTube, and they just really don't have much of a sailing background, and and good on them. They're going out there living the dream, but they kind of really, they really do rely on it very heavily to make sure they don't get things. The other half would be quite proficient and experienced. But in both camps, if you have those tools and you use them well, honestly, we hear story after story of people coming back from the, around the world trip saying, thank you so much. You basically kept us safe. And so for us, that's a huge thing of why we do it.
Yeah. Well, that's great. Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming on and telling us your story. What a fascinating story. And thank you for developing it.
Thank you, Tessa. Thank you for your nice kind words. And yeah, thanks for having us on the show.
Thank you so much. Hope to see you in the near future. And that will say Salty Abandon.